Early, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to Hot Mic. Nathan Ivey with you, your humble moderator. Welcome back. We got Phil Heimlich with us today. How you doing, sir?
Phil in his zone again.
Is that music still playing in the background?
Yeah.
I think that might be Phil again. But Kevin, you can hear me. Hey, Dunny, how you doing, sir?
I can hear you.
Hey, what's up, Nathan? Kevin, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dunny.
I don't know what Phil is doing. He is in his own little world there.
He must have had a sound turned off or something. I don't know what it is, why he's just every show.
I don't know. It usually takes a second, but he'll catch up with us. To the audience, really appreciate you being here. We got a new voice joining us as well, new crew member, Tony Huey. What's up, Tony?
Hey, how you doing, Nate?
Doing well, bro. Doing well. Welcome. We are we're all here. We're still trying to make sure that Phil can hear us. I'm not sure what's going on. There's something he's doing that is very interesting, but I'm not sure what it is. Can't do anything on my end. But just want to introduce you. Tony is new to the group, and appreciate you, man. I was just trying to tell Phil and Dunny and Kevin about you that you're going to be joining us, and longtime listener of talk radio, author, a man of many talents, and appreciate you being with us.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to see you guys. I met Kevin at the Kings game. Met Terrace also, and Phil. I almost got a chance to meet Phil last week. He visited my church. So
really,
yeah.
You should come up and say hi.
Well, I was working in the booth. I do video
also.
You're
in the booth.
So, yeah.
Are you the guy that Pastor Benny was thanking when he
one
was?
Of them.
Oh,
one
yeah,
of them.
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you. Good to see you. Okay.
Now, you know our distinguished panel member Kevin Aldridge is also pastor. Did you know that?
I did know that. Yep.
Yeah. I try to hold him accountable, but it's not that easy a job. I do the best I can.
Hey, only God can judge me, Phil.
Don't be so sure about that, pal.
Tupac lyrics. I like it. So I want to thank the audience for being here. Blessed or messy, appreciate you. David, Janice, Terry, good to see everybody. Hey, Ross, Kashina, good to see you. Fanon, one of our crew members, good to see you, Fanon. Hey, Nat and Regina, Vanita, good to see you. Brenda and Pamela, good to see everybody. Let's get started because we've got Dunny Isaacson here, and he is a very busy man trying to make Ohio great again, if that is a correct way of looking at it. And I really appreciate your time. Dunny, welcome to Hot Mic. Good to see you.
It's good to see everyone. It's good to be here. And I don't know if I'm going with that slogan, but I think
your face said everything. But for folks who don't know, tell us your position in the state of Ohio, and we'll get into some questions.
Sure. So I am the state representative for District 24 here in Cincinnati. So that's downtown Mount Adams, Mount Auburn, and then all the way west through Westwood, Price Hill, and Sailor Park. So that includes the West End. It includes Clifton Heights, Pendleton over the Rhine. And I also serve as the Democratic minority leader in the Ohio House. So I lead the Democratic caucus in the House of Representatives in Columbus.
All right, let's jump straight into it. If you guys have questions, jump in. I'm going to get things started because, like I said, Dunny is busy, and I appreciate his time. Let's get straight to it. But, I follow you on Instagram and social media because I like to stay connected to what people are doing and people who are in elected positions. And you're always posting about, your position on things. But you posted something, I don't know, maybe about a week or two ago that really struck with me. And you were talking about U-Haul statistics. And apparently there's a lot of people who are leaving Ohio. Can you pick up right there and tell me what the statistics is and what does that mean and what do you see from your perspective?
So U-Haul does an analysis every year of where their vans and trucks are going on one-way trips. Basically, where are people going and not coming back? And they do that to assess kind of which states are hot and which ones are not. And usually the top of the list is pretty consistent over the last few years. It's the states kind of, you would think it's places in the Southeast. They're warm, they're growing. That's, Texas, North Carolina, Florida. And Ohio has been kind of in the middle of the pack. And then last year we had the largest single drop in the country, down to the bottom 10. So I think we were 43rd. And what that says to me is people are voting with their feet, right? People are leaving. And as a policymaker, it should force the question, why? Why are they leaving and why are they not coming in the first place? And so that's a question of how do we attract more people and how do we keep the people we've got? And I think for about 20 years, Columbus has basically ignored those two questions, and we're seeing the results
If
of
I can
ignoring
ask,
it.
what are your reasons, you think, Donnie, why people are leaving Ohio?
I
Besides
think
the
about
weather,
it.
which would be a good one right there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think about it in terms of why my parents came to Ohio and what made them stay, and sort of I think that there are some things that are fundamental to Ohio.
But
Why?
in
What's
all
great?
fairness, I don't mean to interrupt it, but specifically, why do you believe people are leaving now?
I think the things that make Ohio a place you want to be and stay are sort of the basics. Really great public schools that are free, that are in your community. The ability to find a job that pays the bills. The ability to have bills that are not too high, right? So your job can actually cover your housing and your health care.
You're not answering the question.
And so, yeah, I am. In Ohio, on every single one of those metrics of what makes a good quality life, we no longer are an affordable place to live. This is no
Okay.
longer an easy state to buy a house. This is no longer a place where your property taxes are affordable. It's no longer a place where you're guaranteed, no matter where you live, to have access to a good, free public education. Right. And by the way, the jobs have not kept up with inflation. And so the what you're making doesn't buy you the house and the childcare and the car and the groceries and the utilities and the vacations for your kids in a way that it did 20, 25 years ago.
Isn't that true though? Unfortunately, for most of the country, in terms of I mean, I've read articles at Realtor.com about really the affordability issue, particularly in terms of housing, as kind of a nationwide thing.
And there are some states that are being super proactive in addressing it, and others that are not. I have plenty of issues with the state of Florida and the laws they passed in that legislature. But they have responded to their housing crisis with really proactive, aggressive housing policy. Now, I got a housing bill into the budget last year to try and address a piece of this, but it's a tiny, it's a small piece of a much larger problem. So there's way more to do on housing. But I think ultimately people are feeling squeezed on property taxes.
Can you address that? I was going to ask you, if you don't mind, on the property taxes. Is there, forgive me, is there a something on the ballot this fall about that, or am I confused about, or is there a proposal to, I think, limit the growth or limit property taxes? And what's your position on that? And what do you think we should do about property taxes?
So there's an effort to put a property tax ballot initiative on the ballot in November, which would eliminate property taxes. I think it's pretty unlikely that that gets on the ballot with enough signatures, but I do get why people are pissed.
Yeah.
Like
What do you recommend, though? That's pretty extreme. I would agree. What is your recommendation on property taxes? Which I totally agree with you, because I hear so many people and I read so much about people are priced out of their homes for property taxes. I mean, Kevin's estate, I mean, he can barely, I mean, he keep his head above water because of that. But seriously, what is your recommendation about what we need to do about property taxes to lower them or keep them down?
There has to be a short-term and a long-term answer to this. In the short term, people need direct relief. Those seniors who are struggling to keep their house, they need a check in their pocket of relief to relieve the tax burden. I think we do that through a circuit breaker, which is a bill I introduced, which would give up to $1,000 to people in direct credit for who are burdened by their property taxes. But long term, the answer is we have to have a state that funds public education at a reasonable percentage. Right now, the state pays 30% of K-12 spending, which means that for every local community, the state is saying to that local community, you have two options. You can either jack up your property taxes by putting levy after levy after levy on the ballot, or you can have underfunded or consolidated schools. So until the state pays 50% of our public education funding, which is what it should do constitutionally, there will be a property tax problem because every community will be squeezed with that question. And right now the state is paying 32% when it should be paying at least 50.
So you're saying the state, are you talking about state property taxes, or are you talking about just other state funding?
Our property taxes, the largest driver of property taxes, it's not the only one, obviously libraries and public services and developmental disabilities, but the largest one is K-12 education. And when the state doesn't pay its fair share of public education from the state level, it is forcing every community around the state to either increase property taxes or have massively underfunded schools.
But I guess what I'm asking you, right now the state's paying, you said 30%. What I'm asking you, is it through and I'm sorry I don't know this, is it through a state property tax or is it through another funding? What is the funding source at the state level currently for schools, for where they come up with that 30%?
So the state revenue comes
from income taxes or what? I'm sorry,
It's a combination of income taxes, sales taxes, and some, but not a lot but some property taxes. But the state revenue sources are sort of a three-pronged stool.
Okay, so but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate you giving me
letting you in,
letting other people on the crew have an opportunity to talk to Dunny.
Well, I asked such perceptive questions.
This is a sanity check. This is hot mic, Mr.
I asked such perceptive questions. There was nothing. I didn't think there was anything left for anyone. But go ahead.
Dunny, so going back like 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions ago, I can't remember how many it was, but I was going to ask you about the ends of the demographics about those who are leaving the state of Ohio, because as you kind of framed it, I can see it being seniors who might be overburdened and who typically are looking to leave for warmer pastures anyway at the end of life, and then maybe younger folks who are having difficulty affording that new house or seeing the job opportunities and the wages that you want. What are the demographics of the folks, if you have any insight on that, who are leaving the state? Are we losing a lot of young people? Is it older people who are moving out? And how concerning is that to you about the demographics of folks who are leaving the state?
It's a great question. I don't know the answer for that. I don't think U-Haul provided it in the study. I will say we say a lot. Ohio's greatest export are young, talented people, and that unless we turn that around by telling them you can afford to buy a house here, you can get a good job here, it's actually a good place to start a family, the way it used to be, and I think, we have a part of that is the underlying statistics and the facts. Part of it's a branding problem that comes from that, right? Ohio is known nationally to young people as being lame, right? It is shorthand and has been for years. When something is so Ohio, that is not good. And so that has to be at the top of mind of like, what are we doing to actually say, no, this is actually the place all the teachers are moving to, all the nurses are moving to. This is where we're building tons of housing so that the house prices are coming down, your mortgage is coming down, your rent is coming down. There's teachers going into the schools, there's nurses in our hospitals, right? There's clinics that are opening in new places, right? That's the, I think how it's not going to be, we're not going to change the brand based on our beaches, right? And so we need something else. No offense to every time I say that, by the way, people in Northeast Ohio are like, well, we do have great beaches. So, no offense to the people of Northeast Ohio.
Talk about our schools, because I think that's a great driver in terms of where people decide they want to live and if they want to stay in the state of Ohio. What's the state of our public schools? Are we doing enough from Columbus to support the public school system and then get the positive education outcomes that we're all looking for? And what should we be doing if we're not?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is one that I actually think is a good opportunity for some humility from Democrats and Republicans, which is that if you look around the country at public education, like, yes, the top performing state is Massachusetts, super Democratic, but actually the states with the fastest growing improvements are in the South. It's Mississippi, it's Louisiana. They're calling it, the Southern Surge. And we have a lot to learn from that. So on the one hand, we are underinvesting in our schools, particularly in our urban and Appalachian communities. So we're setting them up to fail by not having enough staff, by not having enough teachers, by not having enough nurses. And on the other hand, we're not doing enough to advance our curriculum when it comes to math and reading in particular, in ways that a bunch of other states are leading the way on. And I'll give him some credit. Governor DeWine actually did try to put us on that path, the path that Mississippi and Louisiana were taking particularly around literacy and reading. And the legislature last year just totally cut out the knees from that effort. And so, like, we have a funding problem and we have a need to adjust our curriculum in ways that, like, again, this is not a party thing. California and New York have those same issues as it relates to improving reading and math, and they are falling behind some of these southern states. And so it's not that piece is not a partisan question. It's just a question of good public education policy.
So, Dunny, I got a two-part question here as it relates to elections and voting. Obviously, that's a big issue. You've got the president out recently talking about federalizing elections, particularly in places that have quote unquote bad track records of running elections. That doesn't seem to be the case here in Ohio. I think, statistics have shown that our elections are fairly safe, that it's hard to cheat in Ohio, and there are not a lot of instances of voter fraud. Yet we see at the State House, action after action that comes through that continues to try to fiddle with election laws and requirements from voter ID and everything else. How do you see the election system and the conversations in Columbus as it pertains to election trust in elections here in the state?
Thank you for this question. I mean, I think when it comes to voting, you would hope that people in elected office would want more people participating in our civic process. A lot of people have worked really hard over generations to fight for access to the ballot for more and more and more people. So our goal should be to get more people involved in the process. And yet we keep seeing over and over again, Republican leaders in Columbus say two things. One, voting is safe. We're doing a great job running elections. Nothing to worry about here. And then in the same press conference sometimes, they say, but we should do XYZ that's going to restrict access to the vote in particular populations, and we all know who those are. And that's whether that's early voting, whether it's voting on weekends, whether it's vote by mail, whether it's the types of forms you need, or how much they're proposing now having a birth certificate to get registered to vote. How many people even have access to their birth certificate? How many people have access to their birth certificate for free? So I would hope that we'd have elected officials who want us to go forward and have more people voting, but we hear over and over again, voting is safe in Ohio. The Republicans in charge are doing an awesome job. And yet they keep telling us that they also need to make it harder and harder for certain people to vote.
Now, you also had somewhat of a controversial vote Gerrymandering is another one of those issues that are very big in front of mind for people, particularly here in the state of Ohio. And we've heard the complaints about the gerrymander maps. We've seen voters in Ohio say that they don't want gerrymandering and they want fair maps drawn. But in this latest challenge and effort in the State House, you actually voted for the current system that we have. And you wrote about this. You wrote an op-ed in the Inquirer, so I'm somewhat familiar with your stance. But for those who might not have read it or heard your position, explain your vote on that.
Sure, and this is a really important question because obviously it impacts federal representation for everyone in Ohio. So we have a system where there were 7 members of the redistricting commission. I was one of them. And if the commission came up with a agreed upon map, then that would become the congressional districts. Or if we didn't, by the end of October, it would go to the legislature in November, and then it would be just majority rule on drawing the maps. And the legislature at the moment is supermajority Republican. So basically the majority party, if we let it get to November, would have been able to draw the maps however they wanted. What we were seeing in Texas, what we were seeing in North Carolina, was that they were going all in on trying to maximize Republican representation in the most extreme ways. And so they showed us a map of what they were going to do in November if we let it go that far. And it would have eliminated 3 current congressional districts. It would have turned us into a 13-2 state, 13 Republicans, 2 Democratic representatives. And so our options were basically tell them, look, we will not participate in a broken system, of which gerrymandering in Ohio is definitely one. And so, do your worst and, get rid of those 3 seats, and like you did in Texas and North Carolina, and we'll win the moral argument, and we'll feel really good about ourselves, and we'll see you down the road. But they would have eliminated successfully 3 congressional districts in Ohio, including in Cincinnati, from the Democrats. The other option was we try and negotiate a deal that preserves those congressional districts and congressional representation there, but it would have meant putting my name on what are fundamentally gerrymandered maps. And I didn't get into this job to do really easy things that feel good and allow me to get clicks online. If I had an opportunity to preserve meaningfully good congressional representation in the last 2 years of Donald Trump's administration for millions of people across the state, especially people in Cincinnati and Akron and hopefully Toledo, I thought it was my job to do that. And so that's the map we negotiated. I think we saved 2, if not all 3 of the targeted Democratic districts. I think we will end up with a congressional map where at least 2, I actually think all 3 of the Democrats they were going to target are going to keep their seats. So
do you think Landsman, do you include Greg Landsman in that?
Yeah.
Don,
oh yeah. I think Landsman's,
you think he's going to win? Because it's a tight race, my understanding. It's 50-50 right now, kind of, isn't that, in that district?
So I think Landsman is going to win. The way the numbers in that district broke down, it's a district that 2 years ago and 4 years ago, he would have won, but barely. And the question is, do we think 2026 is going to be equivalent politically to 2024, where he would win barely? Or do we think it's going to be a little better for Democrats given the national environment? I know how I feel about that. So I think Congressman Landsman is going to keep his seat. I think honestly, you look at who her opponents are. I think Marcy Kaptur has a real shot at keeping her seat.
Speaking of seats, it seems to me like, let me back up here. So the Republicans have had a supermajority in Ohio for what, 12 years, Dunny, or is that longer?
No, that's
12
right.
years? Okay, for 12 years, they've had a supermajority. Can you tell us specifically, what are those numbers if you know them? And then secondly, in my observation, it appears like in probably most states across the United States, that if you're wealthy and well off, life's good. You're not probably going to be, going up and down with, inflation and things like that. Your life is pretty much the way it's always been. For everybody else, you're worried about all kinds of things. You might have dipped into your 401k. You might be concerned about food insecurity. My question is, with all these issues that Ohio has been dealing with since the Republicans have had this supermajority, why haven't they been able to make significant inroads and sort of break that red block, in your opinion?
So a lot of it is well, let me back up. Yes, there's currently a Republican supermajority. In the Senate, it's a little more imbalanced than in the House, although in the House it's pretty bad. In the House, it's 34 Democrats, 65 Republicans. So it's almost a third to 2/3. And don't get me wrong, the state leans Republican. There's no doubt about it. It's probably a 53, 54% Republican state, sort of on average. But it is not a 65 to 34 state. So that, like, one of the ways we are out of whack is the way the lines are drawn. And I actually think Republicans, to your point, you are making the case. They have been able to deliver on their promises. They have taken this top income tax rate over the last 20 years down by almost 4%. The state has lost out in over $100 billion in revenue because just from the tax bracket at the very top going down further. So Ohio has become a much better place to be very rich, right? Your taxes have gone down. You have more access to the policies you want. You have more tax credits. You have more loopholes for businesses. You have more loopholes for huge, massive landlords and property owners, right? And so the policies are working. They're just working as intended, and they're working as intended for the people that they were intended to help. And
does that help keep businesses here, though, who otherwise might go to Alabama or some other or Florida, some other state?
I think the numbers bear out that to the extent it is, it's not keeping pace with jobs because we're losing jobs, not growing jobs.
Yeah, I'll subscribe to that theory. You know, Fields has this theory, and maybe he's right on some levels. I just don't buy it so completely that if you tax wealthy people more, they're just going to suddenly flee. He may be right. I haven't seen numbers across any states that bear that to be true. But what's your take on that?
This is one of those fundamental just questions, right? Do you grow the state by making it easier for businesses to grow here, and then they come and then they hire, and then, or do you grow the state by making it a good place to live with a really strong workforce, by making it easier to buy a house and send your kids to a good school and then graduate people who can do, critical thinking, and then businesses want to come because there's a well-educated workforce where their employees can buy housing. I don't know that there's one correct answer to that. I think there's merit to both. I will say in Ohio, we have gone way too far in the direction of trying to make this state appealing for the biggest corporations and wealthiest people. And we have completely ignored the other side of the equation. And so even now, when I talk to businesses that are growing in Cincinnati and Ohio, you know what they tell me their number one and number two issues are? It's not taxation. Their employees can't find housing that they can afford that's anywhere near their business. Their employees with kids under 5 cannot find childcare that is good quality that they can afford. So they're choosing not to work instead. So their whole paycheck doesn't go to pay for childcare, because why would you work just to pay for childcare? And then if you dig in with some, especially folks on the more construction side, they have, for the first time ever, they are saying that kids are graduating who cannot do basic math, who don't know how to use a tape measure. And so I'm not saying that there's not some merit to what Phil is, the sort of broad position Phil has, but we have massively overshot in that direction in Ohio and ignored everything else that goes into the basics of what makes a good state and a good life.
I think it's a sweet spot, right? It's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And, it sounds like we're not at that sweet spot. There's got to be an equilibrium there where we are not repelling the wealthiest Ohioans, but we're also investing in the middle class and people who are trying to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, so to speak. Here's another question that everybody cares about, and that's electricity bills. From your seat, why are Ohioans' electricity bills soaring right now?
I mean, it's part and parcel of the same question. We have been, we had the biggest scandal in the last 50 years in Ohio just a few years ago, where the Speaker of the House, who's now in prison, was convicted on bribery charges, $60 million in bribes from major energy utilities that were getting subsidies and kickbacks from the state. And so it runs pretty deep in Ohio, the sort of lack of transparency around utilities. We've made some progress actually in a bipartisan way over the last year and a half. So I think there's some work to be done there on the regulators and how we set our rates with utilities and putting that under control. And then there's a big question on energy generation, which is, and it's supply and demand, like so many other things, which is if we don't increase supply, but demand keeps going up, prices go up. And so we have to do more to increase energy supply. And we have to make it so that people can use less energy, right? There were 2 bipartisan energy efficiency bills over the last few years that all would have immediately brought people's costs down. And we couldn't get them over the finish line, but we're going to keep trying because, again, it's part of it is using the energy like more efficiently, and part of it is having more of it to use to bring down prices. So I think it's regulating how rates are set more effectively and dealing with the history of corruption that we have in the state. It's using energy more efficiently, and it's growing our energy supply.
Are data centers a part of this? Because I keep hearing these conversations. People are blaming the explosion. I read somewhere that there's like 200 plus data centers being planned to or in some level of construction in the state of Ohio. Is that true to your knowledge? And is there a connection between the proliferation of data centers in Ohio and our exploding energy costs?
I think in general, and this is true for AI all over the country, AI uses so much data and energy that we have to find ways to keep up with it. But it's not just those sources. We would be having this problem anyways, because as the sort of, it's called, the electrification of everything is happening, which is better for the environment, we have to be able to provide that electricity. And data centers are definitely part of that in terms of increasing that demand. AI in general is part of that. But it's that this is going to happen in terms of needing more energy no matter what. And so and this is one, it cuts really interestingly across party. It's not obviously Democrats versus Republicans, or doesn't have to be. We had a really good energy bill last year to help solve one of these problems where the Democratic contribution was to make it so that not just data centers, but data centers and other businesses and companies and cities could generate their own energy. It's called behind the meter generation. We made it legal in Ohio last year. And so what that means is if you're a data center and you build your own solar farm next to the data center, you don't plug into the grid that the rest of us use at all. So you don't increase the prices. You don't increase utility costs. And so what we are pushing for is more and more data centers and other projects should be doing their own behind the meter generation, so they don't put on the backs of utility ratepayers, the rest of us, their energy costs. They should be able to build their own energy, keep that within them. Don't even plug into the grid that the rest of us use. And so that's what we are pushing for more and more when it comes to the role they're playing.
The other issue with data centers I'm hearing about is pollution. Is that there's a water cooling process that a lot of data centers are using. And as a byproduct of that, it produces, toxic water that is being flushed back into our water systems. Is that true to your knowledge? And what is Columbus doing about it if it is true?
So there's a couple of big issues on data centers. One is we have to look at the energy, which we just covered with, hopefully moving to behind the meter generation. One of the other ones is water. Another is land use in general. Another big one is transparency with the public and just knowing what's going on and how it's happening, right? Should Amazon have 30-year contracts that no one's allowed to talk about legally? Probably not, but they do. And so, to some extent, that ship has sailed. And so, yes, we absolutely need to do what we need to do to keep the water clean. That's as it's coming out of those systems. My understanding is that technology is improving pretty rapidly. And they're coming up with different ways to cool it. But our job as legislators and lawmakers is we need to make sure the water is clean. That's going back into and so, and that's working with farmers, it's working with conservation groups, it's working with the Ohio EPA. And the last thing I want to say on this, because all the attention goes to data centers. And the fundamental question for all of us is about artificial intelligence. Not like it's what the data centers are powering and the role that it's going to play in our society. What's it going to do to jobs? Is it going to be a tool that helps us cure cancer? Or is it going to be a tool that puts everyone out of work? and enriches just a few, tech billionaires who are designing it to just get us addicted to it and sort of deal with the consequences. And that is what I am really pushing legislators and to think about, which is like, we can't just walk blindly into this future that a few tech billionaires are leading us into. We actually need to do our jobs and think about, what do our constituents need from artificial intelligence, and how do they need to be protected from its outcomes?
Agreed. Anybody else want to jump in here? Tony, you want to say anything? Phil, Kevin?
Just last thing, because I know you have limited time, but just real quick, and I'm not trying to do a gotcha thing, but I am just trying to understand your position on the property taxes. Because if I understand, Donnie, you're saying that basically the state needs to go up to 50% of the cost of schools, which will then allow the schools to lower or eliminate the property tax levies, which are driving up the property tax. Is that fair to say? Did I summarize your position?
Yeah, I think you would see immediately fewer levies on the ballot and levies for less money.
Okay, where do you believe that money? Obviously, where do you believe the state money should come from? Obviously, if it's rising from property taxes, that defeats the whole purpose. So it can't be that. So where's the money going to come from? That's a pretty big hunk of change there. So where's it going to come from? The state money.
For starters, I would look at a bipartisan bill that one of our local Republican senators, Senator Blessing, put together with a Democratic senator from Northeast Ohio last year, which is looking at all of what are called tax expenditures, basically the tax giveaways that are given to people and businesses, and how much the state is giving up in revenue is close to $3 billion a year that they found just in tax expenditures. So that's, I think, the first place to start. The biggest one is what's known as the LLC loophole and the business income deduction, right? These are basically, we are giving money away. So I'll just give you one example of how one of these works. If I'm selling my house to Phil, there's a fee on that. There's a tax on that sale.
Transfer tax.
If I create an LLC and put the house under the LLC so that the business technically owns the house, and Phil, you create an LLC, and I sell the house from my LLC to your LLC, you don't pay the tax. That is known as the LLC loophole. We are losing, to put it in terms of what you're talking about, we are losing hundreds of thousands of teachers to that loophole. We are losing new football stadiums. We are losing after-school programs. And so it's not a silver bullet, closing every single tax expenditure and loophole that we shouldn't have, but those are the lowest hanging fruit to get a few $1 billion into what we really need to be spending it on, which is not just public schools. One thing that hasn't come up here at all but we should talk about, is fundamental to people wanting to be in Ohio, is safe communities and having enough public resources to fund public safety. And so when you starve cities of any funding from the state, you're making it harder and harder to keep communities safe. No one knows that better than my friend Scotty Johnson, who I just saw join. And so, I do think all of that adds up. And it's a question of priorities. Why are we prioritizing creating loopholes for LLCs to not pay property transfer taxes?
Hey, Dunny, I really appreciate you. I'm sorry, Kevin, go right ahead, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to get in one last quick question, and this is about the state's sort of rainy day fund or surplus. Is that another area, Dunny, of potential revenue for the state? Because I understand Ohio has really one of the most robust, rainy day funds, maybe in the country, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure what percentage rate that's supposed to be at, or where the state is supposed to stay at, and how far above that the state actually is. But is that something else folks should be paying attention to or asking questions about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we said this when it came to, seniors being taxed out of their homes through property taxes. It is raining in Ohio for those families, right? They need the relief, right? When schools are being forced to close or fire all of their, nursing staff or math teachers, it's raining, right? And we need the money. And so I do think there's some appropriate uses. We have to be careful with it. Obviously, it's a rainy day fund for a reason. We have to use it in emergency situations. But there is money, right? This is the thing. people always say, well, there's no money to do this stuff. And the answer to every problem is not spend more money. I think there's really smart ways we can use government better. But there are some things we should spend some government resources on that where the payoff, right? The payoff for making sure that kids get educated pays for itself and then some, right? The payoff to make sure people are ready for the workforce and go into good jobs or can afford their homes, right? That pays itself off and then some. And so there are things that it's worth spending resources on. And then it's a question of how are we spending those resources? And if you take nothing else away, we'll end where we started on the U-Haul conversation. For 20 years, there have been policy choice after policy choice to spend the resources that we have, making life easier for people who are already doing very well. And that theory has failed in Ohio. We tried it for 20 years. It hasn't worked. We are not going in the right direction. It hasn't led to explosive growth and happiness and joy and safety for everyone. And so we need to try a different approach, which is actually investing in our people and our communities. And I think that's where this year is going to take us. But it's certainly what we're trying to work on in the legislature. And it does not have to be a partisan question on a lot of these issues. It's just, does this serve what most people need?
That's very poetic. I was going to give you the last word, but that may be your last word. But is there anything else that you want to share, or a direction or something that you think is important that you want the audience to know? I'll give you the last word, Dunny.
No, I am grateful for you having me on. This is a really good discussion. Thank you for these were great questions. And I hope you guys stay in touch with this stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely. Dunny, thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate you. Have a great day.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely. You should follow him on Instagram. And, I follow a lot of elected people just so we know what's going on. Just so we know what's going on and have a sense of what they're sharing on. He's on TikTok. He's on Facebook, obviously. He's on Instagram. If you're interested, follow him. I follow Republicans too, because I want to know what they think is important in the state of Ohio, just so people know.
That's very generous of you, I might say. So thank you.
Well, I mean, I can't, you don't know what's going on if you just listen on one side, right? So you got to understand where people are coming from. Whether I agree or disagree doesn't matter. I want to know what they're putting out to the public, what they think is important. And to that point, we'll be reaching out to people on the Republican side of the State House to come on, and we'll ask them questions as well and open it up for you. The partisanship doesn't really matter. We're just trying to get to the bottom of it and try to get some answers. So to that end, we got Scotty Johnson with us. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Nathan. How you doing, man?
Doing well, sir. I'm going to pot you up just a little bit. Thank you for your time. I know you're very busy. I really appreciate you coming on. And you've been on before, so you know what the drill is. If people in the audience have questions, please let me know. I'll try to keep up with them once he gets started. And if there's something or not, I'm not going to cherry pick. I'll try to put them up on the screen, and Scotty and the crew can decide to put it out there. But we've talked about, well, we're in Cincinnati, you know that. So we've been talking about Cincinnati issues, and your name has come up a couple times. Matter of fact, I got a graphic here.
It was never taken in vain, though, Scotty. I just want you to know that.
Okay, I'll double check, Phil. I'll double check to make sure.
No, don't check that much. No.
Yeah. Well, let's start with this. I mean, you were the lone dissenter. If I'm wrong about this, please set me straight. I don't mind being proven wrong in any way. I want to make sure you get accurate information for our audience. But as I understand it, you were the only member of City Council that voted against this measure to not work with the federal government in some ways when it comes to immigration. Just it seems like the spirit of it, in the letter of it, was to say, listen, if you're going to come here looking for, speaking of the federal government and immigration forces, if you're going to be looking for somebody, make sure that you got a warrant, make sure that you're looking for some specific person, and you're not using city resources to just do a blanket search on anybody that you think might be, as they use the word, undocumented or so-called illegal. Is that true? And what was your objection to that?
When Nathan, like I said, it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. It's always a pleasure, and thanks for having me. The reason why I dissented, Nathan, is because it's all smoke and mirrors. And let's just be quite frank about a couple of things. You would have to be out of your mind if you agree with what we have seen ICE do, not only in Minneapolis, but what they've done across the country. You're really dealing with, to be quite frank and honest, you're just really dealing with some thugs that it appears that the government has given permission to round up people based on, I'm not even sure what the criteria is. But the reason I say smoke and mirrors is because we have to stop in this city just doing things because it looks good. And we have absolutely zero authority to tell any federal agents, FBI, DEA, ATF, what they can and cannot do. They are under the guides of the federal government. Nobody agrees with what we've seen. But for Cincinnati City Council to act like they have some authority on telling ICE what they can and cannot do, or any other federal agents what they can and cannot do, is we don't have that authority. We've got 30+ year relationships with federal partners. The FBI, I was on the FBI task force years ago, the DEA and ATF. We've got 30+ years of partnerships that these federal agencies every single day are helping to make Cincinnati safe. Had it not been for the FBI, we would not have gotten an arrest in the shooting that happened a couple of weekends ago at what I'm not sure the name of the place, Riverfront Live. We wouldn't have had those arrests as quick as we did without the partnership of the FBI. I say all that to say those federal partnerships are very, very important. All of us that sit on that dais sit and talk about how public safety is the #1 issue. But that safety is coming as a direct result of our Cincinnati Police Department. That safety and those relationships make Cincinnati as safe as it can possibly be. And in this climate where it appears that everybody's got a rash, we got to make sure we're strategic when it comes to how we go about calling out federal agencies. We can't, when you talk about we don't want to share information with the FBI, ATF, or ICE or whoever else, it was the sharing of information that got the arrest of the 2 shooters in this recent mass shooting. So we have to be careful how we're navigating. It's not just about making it sound good. It has to be about moving in a direction in which we're actually able to do something. And unfortunately, as a result of that vote, rumors are that we are in the crosshairs now when it may be coming, when it possibly comes to some funding. So that's the reason why we've got major investigations going on right now with federal partners that are going to help to make Cincinnati safe when it comes to guns and drugs in our city. So we have to be able to be strategic and smarter when it comes to saying who we will and will not work with when it comes to information sharing or any of those different things.
So I just want to ask real quickly and throw it to the crew. So it sounds like that was what role, how big of your calculation and not voting for this city council proposal was it that you were afraid that we may start some bad vibes with the federal government and it might impact Cincinnati another way? Was that like the #1 reason why you decided to vote against it?
I spent almost 8 minutes trying to talk to my colleagues, knowing the relationships are very fragile. And if we want to talk about Cincinnati we want to talk about safety being the #1 priority, we have to do it beyond the smoke and mirrors. As I said earlier, we have absolutely no authority what we can and cannot tell the federal government what they can do. Of course, we would love to see them wear body cameras. We would love to see them be transparent on who they're looking for and all those different things. But we have, but just bringing an ordinance, this wasn't an ordinance, it was actually a motion. Just bringing a motion to say something does nobody any good, Nathan. And yes, that was because of the things that I know that are going on, things I'm privy to, we got to make sure we're strategic. And if safety's number one for our citizens, we need the support of our federal partners that have been working with us for more than 3 decades.
Yeah. Hey, Scotty, let me just say, first of all, whether I agree with you on an issue or not, I always appreciate you standing on what you believe, even if that puts you in the minority of council votes. And there, unfortunately, in our political environment today, we don't have a lot of politicians who are willing to stand on what they believe to be right. They'll go along with the party line or whatever. So it just so happens, though, I do happen to agree with you on this issue because I'm not a big proponent of symbolic gestures that don't do anything. And I argued that this was the same point in terms of what city council has done. Same thing with the sanctuary city status and a lot of other things that they've done on some of these issues that don't really have any teeth. But having said that, there were some elements of it that I did think had merit. For example, I think there some element of it that said, hey, we might provide some social service assistance, as in that if families are broken up by ICE, people who are left behind, there might be some legal aid, there might be some social services that are given to those families that might be broken up because of what ICE does. I mean, did you have any thought process in that as you thought about that resolution?
Well, there was 2 separate motions. The one Ryan James brought forth dealt with legal representation and assisting families to make sure that if separation took place, we did everything we could to bring families together to make sure they were represented. So it was 2 different motions, okay. And I rode with that one with Ryan James. Yes, I rode on that motion. Absolutely. Yes, I did. So I support that one Ryan James brought forth.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to ask you the question about how real do you actually think the threat of Donald Trump maybe taking away federal funding from Cincinnati? One of the positions that I've always held is, yeah, it's a risk, but Cincinnati's in a different position than, say, Minneapolis. You've got a Republican governor. Ohio's a Republican state. You've got essentially Republican representatives in the Senate. I don't think Donald Trump is as likely to attack even a Democratic city like Cincinnati in a red state like he would Minnesota, a state that voted against him, a state with a Democratic governor. I almost see it as 2 different landscapes. Not that there's not risk there, but I think Cincinnati might be a little bit more insulated by the GOP politics that dominate the state. What do you think about that?
I think you have an excellent point, Kevin. But I think it's more than that. I'm talking about real. I agree with you. We may be a little more insulated. Maybe Cincinnati is. We don't want to see any funding dry up. But on page 2 of that has to do with the relationships these federal agencies, and they're all attached. These federal agencies provide to Cincinnati every single day. So, yeah, although that's one element of it, possibly funding drying up, but the other is the relationships. We don't need fractured relationships with federal partners that come in every day and serve Cincinnati. And we don't need agents because they're human. We don't need agents saying, well, Cincinnati doesn't respect us. And I'm talking about overall, let's slow investigations down. Let's go ahead and lay down. Having done it for 33 years, I know officers slow down. I know federal agents slow down. So we don't need any of that when we talk about Cincinnati's number 1 priority is safety. We just don't need any of that. But that's what's on page 2, Kevin, to be quite honest with you.
I think it's a good thing to be a vanguard against something that you see as a nothing burger, a waste of time, and that could potentially ruin a good relationship you have with the federal government. I'm listening to you explain it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if there's no power that you really have to affect the federal government from coming in, why are you bringing it up? Other than to, I don't know, just have moments on in the meeting or something like that. I don't see the relevance in it.
And that's what I mean. I think it was a waste of time, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it was a waste of time.
And we've got. I love my colleagues. I like working with them, but we have people that I think all of you know that do nothing but grandstand on specific issues. Oh, this sounds good. Oh, well, this will make it look like I care. Your caring shows in how you move. It doesn't show on that dais. I think voting has something to do with it, how you move, yes. But your caring shows when you leave that dais, when nobody's watching. Are you in the community actually checking things out when the cameras are gone? See, that's the difference. Just doing things to be symbolic and you have no authority. Who's got time for that? We've got a lot going on in Cincinnati, and I no longer am moving just because it looks good. And I pray that I've always moved because it was the right thing to do. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Well, hold up, Scotty, because as I'm reading back over this article, they had one motion that prohibited real-time data from city-owned surveillance like cameras and drones to be shared with any third party to help with civil immigration enforcement without a court order. And what's wrong with saying, hey, listen, we understand you're doing your job, federal immigration authorities, but make sure you get a court order and it's not something that's just blanket. What's wrong with that? That's not symbolic. That's real, right?
Well, I mean, no, but does the city of Cincinnati, like I said, the body cameras, all of that, I agree with 100%. But acting like Cincinnati Council has the authority.
He's saying we don't have the authority to.
We don't have the authority to enforce it. So what are we actually doing, Nathan? We're having, excuse my French, we're having a hand job, to be quite honest. I know exactly what you're saying, but we can't start. See, here's the thing.
So I'm just saying, I'm just looking for education. So just educate me. So you're telling me is that if the city of Cincinnati is operating cameras and the federal immigration authority says, hey, listen, we want your camera data. And the city says, why? And they say, we want your camera data. The city just has to give it to them?
Well, Nathan,
without a court order?
The cherry picking is something we can't afford to do. As I stated when we first came on, those cameras in a private, now let's do private and public.
Right.
FBI, we would love your help. We had 9 people shot in the city of Cincinnati in a club. Corporation, the owner, turn over information to FBI, bam, we make an arrest. Since FBI, ATF, and federal charges are on their way for those 2 individuals. FBI, ATF, DEA, we need your help on this particular issue. City cameras have identified things. Those partnerships have been established and those working relationships have been established. So I don't want us cherry picking saying, okay, we'll turn this over to you based on this investigation, but on this one, we're going to demand you to get a court order. As I said, people are human, and if they start slowing down, I'm not saying they get carte blanche either, but if people start slowing down based on Cincinnati cherry picking specific investigations, we're going to continue to be in trouble in Cincinnati when it comes to safety.
And that would be wrong. And I hear what you're saying. I am not saying that I don't understand your argument. What I'm saying is, doesn't city council have a responsibility and the ability to set norms in relationships? What's wrong with saying, hey, listen, yeah, you're the federal government and we work hand in hand on a variety of different scenarios. But because of what we saw in Minneapolis, if you're going to access our city and public owned data, then get a court order. What's wrong with that?
Nothing is wrong with it if we live in a perfect world, Nathan. And I'm just saying there are investigations that are going on that I'm not trying to act like I know the intricate details of some of these investigations, but there are investigations that are going on that city cameras are assisting federal agents
as they
in
should,
helping to close some of these investigations.
right? As they should. And again,
And a
I
court
always fall
order,
back on your expertise because you've been
yeah,
there. So
a court
that's
order
what you're
in a
saying.
perfect,
I take it to heart. But what I'm saying
a
is,
court order in a perfect world in every investigation. Oh man, wouldn't that be beautiful?
yeah, but you use the right term, carte blanche. Are we expecting the city of Cincinnati to give the federal authorities carte blanche to do whatever they want to do because we're afraid that if we set a standard or a norm that they're going to pull back and say, "Hey, the heck with you"? That's wrong.
It's dead wrong. But is it but can it be reality though, my brother?
Oh, you're right.
Absolutely.
You absolutely can be reality, but what I'm saying is, to me, I don't think that what city council tried to do was completely symbolic. There's some substance there. Setting standards and norms in relationships is substantive. So if you want to categorize some of it as symbolic, yeah, but some of it it appears to me I ain't down there like you, I'm just talking, but some of it appears to be city council saying, hey, listen, we seen what happened over here. We don't want to happen over here. We just want you guys to get a court order. That's it. And if you get a court order, then you can get any data you want to. I don't see how in the system that we have in America, why asking people to get a court order is a bad thing. That's just like,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I'm saying the reality of it is the spirit of collaboration that has been going on for 3 decades can be jeopardized in a perfect world. And it has in a perfect world, if court orders were always in effect to get information, I'm telling you, it bogs down and slows down the process of getting to where you need to get in quote unquote fighting crime.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, look, anytime you have to go through extra layers of bureaucracy, legal or otherwise, it slows down getting to a conclusion. And I think what Scotty is saying is not that there's anything wrong with it, but eventually there's going to be a trade-off. I mean, it's human nature. If you make me jump through some hoops to get what I need with something that you could give me willingly, when you come back around and you need my help, I'm going to make you jump through those same hoops. That's the nature of collaboration and cooperation.
We're talking about a court order. We're not talking about hoops.
Yeah, but a court order does. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes somebody filling out paperwork.
That's called checks and balances. That's how a system works.
Nathan, but you're not hearing what Scotty is saying. It's like
I absolutely hear what he's saying.
In the normal processes of cooperation, you don't make people who are on the same mission go through that type stuff.
Yes, you do. They do it in the courthouse every day.
Okay. All right. Nathan, you saying you're gonna listen to the man's expertise and he trying to tell you, and then you gonna say, no, that ain't how it works. Either you gonna listen to his expertise.
I haven't told Scotty he was wrong about anything. Not one time. I've just simply said I'm refuting the characterization of it. That's the way our system is supposed to work. I know it's built with human beings, but you got to get evidence. You might have to get a court order. That's not making somebody jump through hoops. That's the way it's supposed to work every single day.
And you're right. That's the way it's supposed to work. And when there are extensive investigations, time permitting, most of the time, first of all, let's be quite frank about something. The feds usually don't come unless they got you. That's why their conviction or the conviction and or the plea deals are up in the 90% range when it comes to you going to federal court. So the court orders and all of those different things, absolutely. But in the spirit of collaboration and partnership, sometime it's like, hey, I'm just throwing this out here and I don't want anybody really attached onto what I'm saying. Hey, did you have a court? Did you got cameras on Kennedy Avenue out in Kennedy Heights? Yes, we do. You know, if there's some footage that happened at 3:00 in the afternoon on January 31st, blah, blah, blah. And the city and those partnerships turn that over to the feds. I'm just saying you're right. In a perfect world, if time permitted in every single solitary investigation, court orders, fantastic, bring them. And there are times court orders are initiated. But I am saying based on partnerships and relationships, that is not always necessary to get to the expected end in, unfortunately, dealing with a lot of these bad guys that have repeatedly been charged with gun crimes and things of that nature that are back out with guns again. And that's why with these two, the feds came in and said enough is enough. We're levying federal charges on them this time.
Well, let's get to that. We know what they say. I'll say my last thing on it. You know what they say is that when you tell somebody no, that's when you can really tell the nature of your relationship. That's when you can really tell.
Yeah.
When it's always yes, 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 everybody's cool. But as soon as you tell somebody no, that's when you can tell how cool you really are. So I'll leave it like that.
But we're dealing with human beings.
We're dealing with human beings.
Fragile egos, Nathan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about reparations. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Can I say one thing on the last topic?
Absolutely. Yeah, go right ahead, Phil.
Yeah, usually, Scotty, I'm the guy who sort of, shall we say, cross-examines or questions people and kind of pushes back a little bit. Always in a very, of course, respectful way, of course.
Always, Phil. Yeah, right.
Always. Well, maybe not always. But I got to be honest with you, I have nothing to say to you on this because I thought your answer to the initial question was just 100% sensible, right on, compelling. And I was a little unsure about this thing when this issue came up because I just haven't read all the paperwork and like I did if I was on city council. But I just think your explanation is just incredibly to the point and accurate. And I might just say on this issue with this court order thing, I mean, I think what Scotty's saying is that if every time you needed, like in this case, the shooting, you had we had to get a court. You had to get a court order. It's not just a question of they kind of stop working, but it's like it slows everything down. But also keep in mind, let's say that ICE came in and started doing the kind of stuff they were doing in Minneapolis, and then let's say they say, "Hey, we want your camera stuff." We can always at that time say, "We're not giving you this without a court order." We always have that ability without slowing down all the cooperation with the FBI, DA, and everything that he's talking about.
But nobody ever argued to slow down all of the cooperation. We were just talking about immigration. If federal authorities came here on looking for people who are undocumented, the conversation was never about.
It was a little unclear because it was unclear, Nathan. It sounded like, you every time they shared anything with us, or we shared with them, I should say, that you wanted a court order. And now you're saying just on narrow immigration
That's
issues.
What I was.
All right. Well,
yes, sir.
I don't know if there's that much disagreement there.
Yes, sir. It was always just about immigration.
I still think Scotty's point in that is that's a danger. That's a slippery slope when you start cherry picking where you want to cooperate and where you don't. And I think that's where he stays consistent with.
That's not a slippery slope. That's called local rule. That's not a slippery slope.
Let me say this, and I think you gentlemen know this, but all of your expertise and wisdom on this panel, you understand ICE is already here. I think everybody knows
this guy's a politician, by the way, from that comment, but continue, Scotty.
ICE is already here. ICE is already here. So we don't need to act like they're coming in. They're already here. There have already been people detained and have come up in Butler County Court that possibly will be will be deported back to their home country. So ICE is already here. I haven't got a lot of information of real abusive behavior from them. Now, of course, some people have been detained while they were shopping and things of that nature, but I haven't heard, and I'm not saying I know everything, but I haven't heard of extreme abusive things taking place. But they're already here. There are people being deported. And so that's going on right now as we speak. And they've been here for a couple of months. So that's already going on. Nathan,
and
is
that's
there
what I
a way
was
you
thinking.
can pull me up so I can see everybody else? I can't. I'm looking at a blank screen, but that's so. If that's okay,
Really?
that's okay.
Yeah, I think something might be happening on your end. I can see everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And-
So,
and
but
that's
they're
what I was
already
saying.
here.
Yeah, that's
go
why I
ahead.
was saying Cincinnati's a little bit different. I mean, everybody is you think you got to look at Minnesota was a unique situation. There was a surge. I mean, they sent what was it, 3,000 or 4,000 ICE agents somewhere like that into a city. I mean, that's like an unheard of type of ICE surge into a metropolitan area. And to Scotty's point, ICE is here. They're just not here in those same numbers like what you saw in Minneapolis. And I don't know if you'll see that again anywhere based on the way things unfolded there and sort of the backlash from that. That might have been one of those one and done situations that you're not likely to see with ICE again because of the negative blowback.
Well, we shall see. Let's talk about this housing reparations motion ordinance. If I'm wrong, you and Jan Michelle Lemon Kearney, JMLK, sponsored this. Can you tell us what this is, what it's supposed to do, and why did you use the word reparations?
It's amazing. Let me say this. It's amazing. When you hear the word reparation, people automatically, oh my gosh, they want reparation. First and foremost, it is not race-based. Let me repeat. It is not race-based.
What is it based then?
It's based solely on the 15, as I think you've heard me talk about a couple of months ago when I was here. The 15 most underserved communities in Cincinnati, we call them the Rising 15. It's based strictly on statistical data that deals with the 15 most underserved communities in Cincinnati. We would like to see that a focus in those 15 most underserved neighborhoods, the Rising 15, we would love to see a focus on assistance of getting home ownership in those communities.
But isn't it related to past discrimination? That's where that's a big difference. I mean, Scotty, it's one thing to say we want more money to help people get homes. I get that, but this sounded to me like if somebody says, "Hey, I was discriminated against 10 years ago, and you're going to give me money for that." Which is it?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. The 15 most underserved neighborhoods in our city, we know have been overlooked, have been stepped over.
Okay, but I get that. But it's one thing to put money in those neighborhoods, but you're talking about, just clarify. If you're saying all we're doing is putting money in those neighborhoods, I don't think anybody here is going to argue about that. But am I correct that the basis of this is somebody has to step forward and say, I was discriminated against whatever years ago. I have no idea how they're going to prove that. Okay. And then they get money. And I'm also, while you're answering it, we talked about this last week. I don't understand if that's the basis of it. Let's say somebody was discriminated against trying to get housing in Hyde Park. Okay. I mean, why isn't that? And they don't happen to live in these 15 communities. I mean, why don't they get the money? I don't get the basis for this.
Well, first of all, the word reparation, we all know, means to repair. This whole country needs repairing when it comes to redlining, discrimination, and all the other things.
But you're not answering the question.
Let me finish, Phil. That have historically caused the situation we stand in right now. I know the word reparation scares people. Okay. But look what it means. It means to repair. We got to start somewhere. And the Rising 15 would be a great start in the city.
How does somebody get the money? That's what the question is.
That's still being worked out. That is why we've asked the administration to take a look at going about how people would qualify for this.
But isn't in the motion
starting with the 15 most underserved neighborhoods in our city. You got to start somewhere.
But let me ask you a question. Is it
Scotty,
based on the
let me jump in
The
here.
administration,
what is wrong with that?
the administration is, let me just finish and I'll shut up. The administration is, it hasn't, the administration is now looking into how that process could possibly work. So,
Okay.
so it's nothing, as much as people have a problem, we got to start somewhere. And I don't want to be on that dais not having addressed the 15 most underserved communities for centuries.
Okay, but
I don't want to do
okay,
that.
But,
so
but
we gotta
I don't
start
understand.
somewhere.
Phil, hold on. Let me
talking
jump
about
in.
people
Phil,
one last
Phil,
thing.
let me
Are
jump
you
in
talking
here
about
right
people who
quick.
are discriminated in those neighborhoods or people who live in the neighborhoods now?
Phil, let me jump in here because the man has answered your question. And the thing
No,
that
he has
always
not
frustrates
answered
me
my
with
question.
you on this show
No.
is you don't shut up long enough to let people answer your question and you don't listen. The reason why you keep asking the same questions is because you don't listen to the answers. Because you're too busy interrupting people. Let the man finish. But here, Scotty, here's one of my here, and I said this when we talked about this before on the program, is, and maybe this is a function of process. Like one of my criticisms was when you announced this is that there were a lot of questions, kind of like the ones that Phil is asking. And you answered the question by saying you don't know, that hasn't been worked out yet. So my question would be, why not task the city administration with looking into all of these issues and sorting it out so that when you brought the issue to bear for council's consideration, that you had all the I's dotted and the T's crossed so that you could present a full picture that explains this is how it's going to work, this is who can get involved, so forth and so on. Why announce the idea when you had so many unanswered questions? That's a
good question, Kevin. Because here's the thing. I think a lot of times we announce it because we announced it. Yeah, that's not unlikely in down there to announce things and then have the administration do the dig to see. First of all, we got to make sure it's possible. And then second of all, if it is, the administration will inform us on how the process is to move. But you're right. I mean, there are questions to be answered. There are things that we have to dot I's and cross T's on, but we want to make, but this Rising 15 that I'm talking about, that's not something new. It's been over 2 years. It's just like with the railroad money. Let me go here. The reason why I did not vote for the sale is because there was not a clear picture on how that money was going to be spent. I keep hearing infrastructure, but when we did the dig, that infrastructure should start in those 15 underserved communities in our city. So that's the Rising 15 is not something new. It's been 2 years, and I want to make sure these communities are no longer overlooked when it comes to what we want to do in Cincinnati.
So, Scotty, you said you already have the data.
Yes, we've got the data of the 15 most underserved neighborhoods in our city.
So, yes. Phil, what is the problem with using that data and saying, okay, we know what areas, we know we have this 15, let's make it right?
Whoa! What do you mean make it right? Make what right?
Well, if you know there was discrimination for centuries in these 15 areas, housing discrimination, okay, let's not only stop this, let's make sure this never happens again, and let's start rebuilding, reparations, repairing. What's wrong with that?
I'll tell you. First of all, and in all fairness, Scotty, you know that the administration, when members of council kind of indicate this is what we want, they tend to give them as much as they can what they want. And, I thought that your comment back on the previous issue, which I really respected, was basically you said that stuff about the immigration and ICE was really a lot of grandstanding, and there wasn't much. Where's the beef? And I love that. I totally agree with you, because I always felt when I was in office, I did my share in front of the camera, but I tried to do substantive stuff and not grandstanding. Okay, so but what I'm saying is, I mean, I'm trying to understand even what you're asking them now, and there's two things to separate here to answer Tony's point too. One is, if you're talking about neighborhoods that have been, quote, underserved, meaning there haven't been resources given to them that should have been given, that's fine. Then fine, give them more, put more money or infrastructure in those neighborhoods. But at least the way this was reported, it was based on individuals getting money for the individual having been discriminated against. Which, I mean, if that's what it is, to be honest with you, it makes no sense, and it has nothing to do with those neighborhoods, because it's where the individual was discriminated against. Are you guys suggesting that, oh, if I was discriminated against in Mount Lookout, no, that doesn't apply here, I don't deserve any money, but if I was discriminated against in one of those neighborhoods, oh, then I can get paid for it? And then the other question is, what happens if I was discriminated against in those 15 neighborhoods, but now I live in Hyde Park? Does that person get it? It just seemed, awful, kind of questionable what the heck you guys are even asking them to come up with.
Well, I think we're clear. The 15 neighborhoods, and
but what about them?
You didn't hear me call out individuals. We're talking about the past practices, trying to right wrongs in this city, in particular, starting with the 15 most underserved and building on that. I don't understand what the big issue is when we know that there's certain communities that have been underserved in this city.
Okay, let me clarify then. Let me ask you this, just to clarify.
Let me finish.
All right,
we need to quit acting like there's some mystery that Fairmount has not been disrespected and overlooked for years. Cummingsville, Lower Price Hill. We need to stop acting like that's not taking place.
No, nobody's disputing that.
So we start depending on what the administration, the alleged experts come back and tell us. We start there and continuously.
If I may say, I think it's passing the buck, with all due respect, to have the administration tell us where things were underserved. We know. I'll concede in those.
No, we know where it is. They need to tell us the process of getting it done, Phil.
But you put a concept here, and I want to make sure. Maybe you've answered this. In terms of what you want them to look at, are you wanting them to look at putting money or resources in those neighborhoods, or giving money to individual people who have been discriminated? Which is it?
If they can do both, I'll embrace both. We need to stop acting like this is a great surprise. That discriminatory.
No. There's no surprise.
Let me finish, my brother.
No surprise.
We need to stop acting like discriminatory practices that have gone on in this amazing city for centuries. And we say, oh my goodness, now somebody's speaking up about it. Let's go ahead and dissect every single part of it when it comes to when it comes to repairing past wrongs. It's the same. It started with the apology that damaged the West End in the 40s, and it started at City Hall. And the City Hall, the mayor and everybody that was serving there targeted Kenyon Bar because it was Black.
No dispute. No dispute about that.
We need to stop acting like, oh, now you want to do something about it? If we want to deal with real justice, something should have been done about it way before I got on council.
There's no dispute about past discrimination. The issue is what you got to get. I've already I made
Phil,
my
Phil,
point.
let
I
me
think
say it
there's no
slow. Let me say
specifics
it
here at all.
slowly for you. Let me say it slowly for
I
you
think
so
I
you can
understand what Phil is saying.
understand. Yeah, let me say it slowly for Phil so that he
And
can
I don't
understand.
think you
Because
should suggest
because
I'm dumb or I don't
no,
understand,
no,
because
no,
I
no.
don't think that's
Here's
accurate.
what
I
it
do
is. Here's
understand.
what it is, Phil. This is what Scotty is saying, and I'm gonna condense it in a Cliff Notes version that you can understand. Scotty is saying that we know historically that in places throughout the city and through information that they've studied, that there are 15 neighborhoods that they've identified where there's been discrimination and disinvestment over history that they're going to prioritize first. Not that other neighborhoods in the city won't eventually get this treatment, but this is where they're going to start. Now you're asking him questions about who's going to get it. He's saying some of this money will be used for infrastructure, some of it will be used for home ownership for people who have potentially been discriminated against. He's saying that they've instructed the city to develop a process for how they could do that. You're asking him, how are they going to do it? He's telling you he doesn't know because he's instructed the city to take a look at how they could create a process where if somebody comes to the city and says, I've been discriminated against in the past, this is how you can get money. So this goes back to the point that I was making to Scotty, that I thought it would have been better if they had those answers and came out with it so that people like you could have a full understanding of what is trying to be
With
done.
all due respect, I don't appreciate the condescending tone. With all due respect, Kevin, because
Well, Phil, I don't know what to say, man, because it's either that or we need to have an IEP or something on here for you, because it's just like it's just not computing for you, brother. It's just not slipping through.
What is the expression?
I don't know how many times that brother can say the same thing and you not understand.
I understand exactly what he's saying, but I think really, well,
you just want to be argumentative.
What I'm saying is,
I just want to be argumentative.
I
Just
think
say I want to be argumentative, because that's what you're doing.
I think that Phil agrees with you. You know, the point you made, like you said, you felt like the city should have had these answers answered before. I think that's what Phil is basically saying. He's like, okay, great. I get it. I understand these neighborhoods have been discriminated against.
The same question. He done already told you. Why keep asking?
It's a nothing. Here's the reason. With all due respect, it's a open-ended question for the members of the city council to basically say to the administration, hey, there's been all this discrimination here. What should we do about it? I would say, Scotty, that's your job. Okay, it's one thing to no. It's your job.
I'm telling them what I want done about it. I'm telling them what I want done about it.
Means nothing. It means nothing.
So is it possible, Scotty, that the city comes back? Is it possible that the city comes back and says, hey, listen, we don't think we can move on this because we can't come up with a way
to move on it, but there's 100 ways you can move on it.
Well, I'm just saying, is it possible the city comes back and says we can't move on this because legally we don't think we can create something that'll pass the legal test that will remedy or provide housing reparations to individuals? Is that possible? Would you accept that?
Well, I think it was already challenged in I think in a part, I can't think of the name of the city in Illinois where they were able to do this. It's not based in race, and that would be the biggest hurdle that we would have to overcome if we were speaking about repairing based on race. That's not what this is not what this is calling for. I cannot think of the city in Illinois that got this done. It's a city in Illinois that actually did it.
What other basis could discrimination have occurred other than race? Isn't that really what the discrimination was?
Well, think about, certain parts of the city, Phil. Certain parts of the city have
Your whole premise is it was based on race, which it was.
Okay, and there's certain parts of this city that we're not saying the repairing and the opportunity should go just for Black and brown people. We're not saying that. We're saying statistically, economically, and all of the other leads dealing with the 15 most underserved neighborhoods, we're going to start there.
What do you define as underserved?
Well, if you look at socioeconomic income, you looked at home ownership, we looked at the business center of those communities. Those are three big bases in which we consider underserved.
When I first heard it, I'll be honest with you, and I know some people that shared it and articulated on the last show and we talked about it, but I've just wondered if using the word reparations was a smart usage of it. I mean, because it's like you can't win no matter what, right? Because as soon as black people hear that, they're going to think it's for black people. But now what you're saying is it's not just for black people, so they're going to be disappointed. And then white folks are going to say it's just for black folks, so they're going to be outraged. So it's like, was that the best word usage?
Well, I mean, we learn as we go. I think America needs to quit being so shocked and scared when people want to be repaired for what has happened to them. And so I think we need to grow up a little bit. We talk about how sophisticated we are in this country. We talk about where we are in this country. Grow up. Grow up. The word reparation deals with repairing past wrongs and practices. And Cincinnati needs to grow up and prepare for repairing past practices. It's just like you would have thought I spit on somebody's mother when I issued that apology. So it's amazing to me when somebody talks about past wrongs, how offended people get. It's the truth. So I'm saying that City Hall initiated with the federal government the Kenyan bar situation that got rid of almost over 100 black businesses in the West End.
But it was racial discrimination, wasn't it?
That was self-sustaining, and people lost their homes that caused generations to have to be
It was based on race. It was based on race.
No doubt about it. So
Okay,
I'm saying I'm dealing with this when I apologize, when I issued the apology. Like I said, you would have thought I spit on somebody's mother. I didn't spit on anybody's mother. I pointed out past wrongs and practices that originated.
I got one more question and I'll stop. I got one more question. Here's the question. If the past discrimination was based on race, which it was, you're now saying you want to provide whatever reparations, but not based on race. So how do you do that?
It's impossible. It's impossible to get anything passed in this country if you base it solely on race in 2026. Let's just be realistic. Impossible.
So how are you going to base it?
Impossible.
How do you say, I'll ask you again, the discrimination was racial, but you're saying we want some kind of reparations, but not based on race.
We want it based on, I'm going to repeat it for the last time for the people in the back, based on the 15 most underserved neighborhoods right now in 2026.
This is the most frustrating conversation with a guy who has a legal degree that I've ever heard in my life. And that's why I say, like, I think part of this is just Phil's not liking the idea and wanting to be just sort of against it and obstructive to it, because it's not difficult to understand. I've said this in the last podcast. There are plenty of agencies, Housing Opportunities Made Equal, tons of other agencies in this city that have studied housing discrimination based on race, age, gender, sexual orientation, a whole lot of other factors, Phil. Just because you haven't read those reports and don't know about them, which I think is largely the problem with the majority community, is they don't know about these reports and these studies because it don't affect them. And so then when you try to tell them about it, it's news to them. They've never heard it.
I know everything about it, and I agree.
Oh, okay.
I know everything
about it. What are you arguing here? If you know about it, what are you arguing? Then that means if you know about it, then your argument is disingenuous.
What I'm arguing is there's no question about the horrible history. What I'm saying, and I'll try and make this my last word, with all due respect, this response really doesn't mean anything. Okay, it doesn't mean. It's like, here's what it's like. It's like they are saying to the city administration, hey, we've had all this discrimination in the past. What can you guys do about it? Come up with something.
No, I
don't
think
think
it's.
that's what
I
he's
don't.
saying
I
at
don't.
all.
That's not what. I think it's crystal clear. And if I have confused anybody, I apologize. But I think you heard me say a number of times here. We're talking about, yes, past practices got these 15 most underserved neighborhoods to the condition they're in now. But they're now, realistically speaking, which I try to move as a realist, I know in 2026, we're not going to get anything passed when it comes to something being based solely in race. That is why it's based on moving first to the 15 most underserved neighborhoods and allowing that to spread out through all 52 in our amazing city.
Yeah, this may not be popular, but I'm just gonna be me. Phil does have a point. I understand what he's saying, because on one hand you're saying, Scotty, you're bringing up race as an example, but then you're saying this is not about race. But then we all know it is about race.
Race is what got us here.
Yeah.
Race is what got us here, Nathan.
Right. And so if race is what's got us here, that means it's got to be a racially tinged solution. But then you're saying no, and we all know why, because you can't do that. So it is a little bit convoluted from me. I could just be slow today, but I'm typically not. But it does seem convoluted to me as well.
No, I think it has to do with when people ask why. Okay, why are you doing this? Because the 15 most underserved neighborhoods in this city are underserved based on race. So now, when you talk about trying to right that, those 15 most underserved communities deserve the first bite at the apple.
I'm with it. I get it.
If we're able to do it.
I'm with anything that's going to remedy past wrong. Go right ahead.
No, I was going to say what he's saying is discrimination is not solely a racial phenomenon. So the way that you get around people challenging the legality of saying you can't base this solely on race, it's not solely on race. It's a discrimination.
What type of discrimination?
It's a discrimination repairing practice.
But
right?
what kind of discrimination though are you repairing?
Of all types. They're saying of all types. Racial,
but they're not saying of all types.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. That's what they're saying. The policy is not. That's when they say the policy is not race-based. What they're saying is that if you've been a subject of discrimination in these 15 neighborhoods, whether it's racial, gender, sexual orientation, you are all subject to be able to get some of this money potentially. But largely, predominantly, what you're going to see in these places probably is going to be people who've been racially discriminated against.
And how do you do that? And then that goes back to Scotty saying that he put it on the city administration to come up with the policy. But again, I'm just trying to bring clarity to it from my own head. I think that's
you can legally pursue damages and reparations for discrimination. If somebody racially it's not against the law.
How do you prove
somebody racially discriminates against me to go?
I'm with you. How do you prove that though? How do you prove that from 20 years ago?
Like I said, you've got tons of agencies like housing. How does Housing Opportunities Made Equal prove the discrimination cases? They sit there, they study it. They have white people pose as certain things and black people pose as certain things to see if you're the person who comes in and assesses your home gives a white person a different valuation than they give a black person in the same neighborhood.
It's definitely real for sure. I stand by what I said. I just wonder, and again, this is just me talking. I stand by what I said. I wonder if putting the word reparations on this put a target on this that was unnecessary, that overly complicated this. I get it. I think these neighborhoods, I've grown up in Cincinnati. I know these neighborhoods have been forgotten. How you prove that on the individual basis is another hurdle. But I'm with anything that invests in parts of our city that have not been invested in. I'm with anything that does that in a legal way. But again, I wonder if the word reparations is just going to be sort of like it's just going to be a weight around it for whatever reason.
two quick things. I used to be an investigator for HOME, Housing Opportunities Made Equal. And that's real. As Kevin pointed out, they called it, back then we called it testers. And we would go with the same credentials, and go in and try to rent places, buy homes, try to lease spaces for businesses and all of those different type of things. And I was in court constantly based on the fact that my white partner was always given a better deal. Very few times equal treatment was given. So, that's just real facts. I think it's sad to say, Nathan, although you bring up a point that the word reparations still scares people in 2026. We understand exactly. We understand that it does, but we got to get away from not being truthful about repairing past wrongs. We just got to stop acting like the word reparation is the big bad monster. I know it scares people, but we want people repaired based on what they had to deal with.
But, I'm with you. But the only thing I would say is, again, going back to people, because we know how people are, right?
Yeah.
So now what ends up happening is, instead of talking about how this policy is going to positively impact the rising 15 neighborhoods, we talking about what reparations means and what it should, you know what I'm saying? It just becomes it becomes an unnecessary distraction for what appears to be a good idea. Still got some questions about it, but it appears to be a good idea. I understand it. What I will say is you're consistent. I remember when you were a part of that apology and you said right then, I ain't just talking, I'm going to try to do something. That was years ago.
Yep.
Before you was reelected. And here you are again, back on it. So, I definitely recognize and want to put that out. So you being consistent to it. And we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I'll be back. If you can invite me back after the administration and make sure Phil is here for me after administration sifts through this.
I'll be here for you. I'll be here for you.
I appreciate you, Phil. I appreciate you. And
if you can get a word in.
Sift through it and come up with what can and cannot be done, we'll continue the discussion. But I'm not running from stuff that's difficult. That's one promise I made to my dad. He said, man, be authentic and show up always telling the truth. You ain't never got to remember what you said when you do that. So, I'm holding fast to this amazing man that poured everything into me, that always stood on what he believed was right, and a man of integrity. And if I can stand half of what Robert E. Johnson did for me, I'll die trying to make sure I keep my word to him. First and foremost unto the Lord, but to my dad also.
Well, Scotty,
and if it's standing alone, I think everybody knows me. I will stand alone.
Hey, Scotty, let me say this to you before you go, because I said this on the last podcast. I want to make sure I say it to you while you were on here. When you did the Kenyon Bar apology, I was one of those people that beat up on you and Jan Michelle pretty good for that. Not because of the apology, but because I felt like the apology without anything behind it didn't do much. I said earlier, I'm not a big symbolic person, and so that was. In the moment, that was how I kind of viewed it. But seeing you guys come out with stuff now takes a little bit of time. I acknowledged on the last pod, I gave you your props. I said, hey, as strongly as I came out critical of you guys back then, I wanted to equally come out and give you credit for coming out with something, whether people agree with it or not, whether it's fully fleshed out at this point or not. I got to give you guys credit for moving on something. So I wanted to say that to you, because I'm somebody who I never say anything behind somebody's back that I won't say to them in person or to.
He's always talking about me in front of my back, this guy.
So I wanted to acknowledge while I had you on the show, man, to come with the same energy that I came with the criticism. So
I appreciate that. And then let's be honest about something. I don't know. But I know from the wind that are blowing, I think my colleagues are afraid, but they're just going to have to be afraid. They're going to have to deal with this. The apology scared the mess out of my colleagues, but they're just going to have to be afraid because it's the right thing.
I got to
do.
ask one more question,
Yes.
Scotty, real quick.
Yeah.
I would say, as I sense the political climate, your vote against that ICE thing was not let's put it this way. It was not in your political interest, I don't think, given the demographics of the city. But let me ask you, this position, regardless of what the others say, would you say that this position you're taking on, this thing, reparations, whatever, is that in your political interest?
No, it's the right thing to do. I got to be honest, man. Let me say this.
I'm not accusing your motive. I'm asking you, is it politically helpful?
No, I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not looking for my next political move. I'm not. I praise God every day. I'm in a position to where I don't have to do anything. So I'm not looking for my next political move. I see people that need help. I've been graced to be in a position to help. And that's what I'm going to do, whether it's popular, whether it helps me politically or not. That's what I've been graced to do. And I sleep well at night. Not that I'm walking on nobody's water, but I do things where I want to see people get help, real help. And, I'm not worried about my next political move. That doesn't mean anything to me. You can't legislate counting votes. And if you do, you're going to compromise. And you're going to be disingenuous to the people that you allege that you're going to be true to serve. You legislate counting votes.
Hey, Scotty, as I did with Donnie Isaacson, I just want to give you the floor. Is there anything that you want to make us aware of? Is there anything that we should know, something that's happening or will be happening that you don't see people talking about, or you just want to raise awareness about?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, we're in budget season. It's coming. Unfortunately, we're probably looking at a $30 million plus, deficit. And we're going to have to be very strategic when it comes to funding this time around. That's never popular. There's so many groups of people out there trying to do amazing things. And if we had billions and billions and billions of dollars, we could help them all, Nathan, but that's just not the case. So it's budget season is coming. We had our first hearing I think it was Tuesday. The first hearing was Tuesday, and we got two more coming up Wednesday, and the next 2 Wednesdays, we've got budget hearings coming up. It's coming. A deficit we're being faced with, but prayerfully we'll be able to navigate and be strategic in making sure we do what's best for all 52 neighborhoods and the citizens of Cincinnati.
All right. Any final words from the crew? Any questions, comments? All right, Scotty, thank you so much, sir. I know you're very busy.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys.
Yep, most definitely. Doors always open. You already know, bro.
All righty. Thanks.
Scotty J right there. And that was a good conversation. 2 good conversations. Had Dunny on. I thought that's a quality conversation. Had Scotty, quality conversation. Didn't get
guys,
to a lot of
I want to
topics.
apologize. I should have spoken up more. I was kind of subdued, but
yeah, I was wondering.
I'm a little low energy today. I'm sorry.
I could tell. I was wondering what happened to you, but
Yeah, I'm just starting to come out of my shell. You guys have been such a help to me. I really appreciate it. I do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We got a caller calling in. The infamous Black Lion. What? Look at this. I love it. What's up, Black Lion? Can you hear us?
Hey, what's up, Nate? Long time no talk to.
It's been a minute, man. I love that. Got the Black Lion up. What's going on? What's on your mind, bro?
It's been a wee minute. Hello to the panel. And I'm liking Tony's swag, man. He just chilling, bro. Just letting it go, just chilling. But I want to discuss reparations with Phil. Here's that every time the conversation comes.
Oh boy!
I think God kind of intervened. What they say.
Yeah, he probably saved you.
It was not me.
The Lord is merciful. He saved you.
That guy was about to eat me. That lion was about to chew me up.
You up.
Yeah, he was. And if he calls back, I'm gonna unleash him again. It wasn't on our end, man. This technology is less than perfect. So, but the line is still open. Use that link if you can get back in. Black Line, we'll put you straight on, man. or anybody else, we'll put you on. Got a little bit of time here. I'm not going to get into the topics. We've been going for 2 hours on a Friday. We can get to this on Tuesday. I want to respect everybody's time. But Black Lion, you get a chance to get us back on. I'll put you straight back on, bro. Put you straight back on.
I'm looking forward to talking about the Secretary of War.
Secretary of War. Okay. Yeah. Has some we talk about all the hot stuff. But I'm trying to get us to 90 minutes. It's rare, although we did it for the first 3 or 4 episodes this season, just to respect people's time, get in and out. We're at 2 hours now, and I'm just not gonna get into it. We'll just leave it for next week. But Tony, I appreciate you being with us, man. And I know you didn't get in a whole lot, but the door is open. You can see what it's kind of like now.
Tony, I'm sorry that these guys just talk so much and everything. You didn't get a chance to get a word in. I want to apologize for them. Okay.
We should give Tony the floor here.
I was wondering
give him like 5 minutes to get his flow out today.
That's a great idea.
I was wondering what Phil was short for. Now I know it's for filibuster. But no, I enjoy being on here. I'm usually on the other side, and I'm a talk show fanatic, so I love listening, and it's cool being on this side, and I definitely got some flows. So invite me back. I'll come whenever.
Oh, absolutely, man. You'll be a part of our regular, email blast. But we got Black Lion back. Can you hear us, Black Lion?
I hear you very well. It just keeps lagging out on me. Yeah, it took me forever to get in, just to get in the fill out the little lines. It took me forever. It kept lagging out. But anyway, nevertheless, let's move on because it might lag out again. Yeah, I was trying to discuss something with you, Phil. It appears every time reparations for Black people come up, you're anti-reparations for Black people. You have all of these questions in regards of why we shouldn't have it. But my thing is, Israel has been receiving reparations for almost 100 years, enough to build oh my goodness.
Did we lose him again?
You still there, Black Lion?
I'm here, but I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm mad as hell. But anyway, Israel has been receiving reparations for almost 100 years off of American tax dollars. But America didn't give Israel a Holocaust. America wasn't Israel's problem. But yet it's been receiving trillions of dollars all the way to the point to build nuclear armament. How are you in agreement with that, but you are anti-Black reparations in America?
Why do you assume I'm in agreement with that? What makes you assume that?
Because you keep saying you support Israel.
I don't keep saying that. In fact, we rarely talk about Israel. What I have said about Israel, because there's somebody I mentioned in the chat that's always saying to me, how come you this for Israel? Let me say it again. I support Israel as a state, as a country, but I believe that what they did in Gaza was genocide. Okay, I believe the guy who runs that country is one of the worst. He's kind of like the Israeli version of Donald Trump. I don't have no faith in him or confidence in him. I think he's responsible for thousands of lives being killed just so he could stay in office. So I'm not here making excuses for Israel.
I have a kid.
You hear that, Black Lion?
Okay, well, come here. Before I take it. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
sir,
Nate?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
I'm gonna address it because
we can hear you, Black Lion.
I don't. It doesn't seem very stable because I want to take a shot at Twin before I go. I don't understand your premises that you agree with Israel being a state. I guess I do because you support criminal settler colonies. Yeah. America's a criminal settler colony. Israel is a criminal settler. So I understand why you would support it. A criminal settler colony.
Criminal settler economy.
No, colony.
I'm just curious, if you don't mind my asking, is the reason why you have assumed my beliefs because of my Jewish ancestry, or is there some other reason?
Just in this conversation, you said that you support Israel being there, having the right to be there.
Yeah, I support the country of Israel, which was founded primarily because of the millions killed in the Holocaust, and the world felt, frankly, a collective guilt and believed that it was right for Jewish people to have their own country, given that 6 million of them got slaughtered in the Holocaust.
Well, more millions of black people were slaughtered in our Holocaust, and we still haven't received the country. But that's neither here nor there. The problem is they're entitled to their own country somewhere else, but not in an already occupied state. And then to use criminal activity to maintain that state. You can't be the criminal settler colony and then say someone attacked me for being where I shouldn't be. They should have stayed in Germany and worked their problems out in Germany.
Now, Black Lion, you got a question for Twin? What's up, Twin?
When you gonna unblock me, Twin?
No, I can't do that, man, because you know why? You talk about Jesus and you talk about the pink man. Come on, Black Lion. Not one raised like that, man. I wasn't raised to be racist or nothing like that. If I believe in Jesus, let me be. I believe in Jesus. If you don't, you don't. And then you talk about this white man, the pink man. I'm not with that, man. That's disturbing to me, man. It's a disgrace, man, as a man. I want to talk like that, man. I love everybody. But when you keep doing all that, I'm going to keep on stay on block, man. Come on, Black Lion. You a cool cat, man. But man, you bogus, man, for what you say. I respect you, but I don't respect that. Come on, Black Lion.
Can I address that,
fam?
Can I address that?
No, you can't. No, because you gonna say something goofy, man. You need to grow up, man. I'm not like that, Black Lion. I respect you as a man, but when you start talking that, that white man, Jesus, and that pink man, no, man. I'm not talking like that, fam. I'm not talking like that. Don't do that, man.
Twin. Your manhood is the same, man. Your manhood is the same. Hey, I'm gonna wait till you done. You have an emotional fit, but when you done, say you done.
Man, go ahead, man, because I know you about to say something wreck, man.
Well, let me say it.
I know.
You the same brother who manhood called black women bees. Man, and you find that okay?
No, don't.
I was quiet, bro. I was quiet while you was talking.
No, this hot mic.
I was quiet while you was talking.
No, you can say
I was quiet while you was talking.
Let me jump in, guys. I don't want this to go.
I was quiet while you was talking.
I'm not about to argue with you on here, Black Lion.
Well, don't. Just be quiet while I'm talking.
This not about to be.
Just be quiet while I'm talking. Just be quiet while I'm talking.
No, you ain't gonna tell me to be quiet. That's what you ain't gonna do. I'm not gonna make this as no Jerry Springer show. No.
Oh, I'm not gonna make it. Well, I like a little Jerry Springer, but I've had enough. But Black Lion, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming on. Since you came on first and we gave you the floor, I just want to make sure we get Twin in since he called in too.
Yeah, I want to know.
So what's on your mind, Twin?
Yeah, I want to know that, Nate. Man, I lead it, man. I'm too polished for that, man. That's back and forth. No, I'm waiting for Kevin Aldridge. We getting in the ring. Now I'm just playing, Kevin.
That's right.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, Twin? Hey, look, bro. I appreciate your good humor on that because I wasn't even talking about it like that.
Nate,
hey, we can get into the ring of ideas, the verbal jousting. I mean, look,
come on.
I'm 51 years old, bro. I ain't trying. My fighting days is well past me, bro. If I had to get into that kind of altercation, I'll just leave it there.
But I will say this. I will say this. Intellectually, he's brutal. Okay.
Hey, Nate. This is why I came to call, man. It was reparation in Evanston, Illinois, and Scotty Too Hot, he got on here and said he don't want to talk about it. But man, as I look at it, man, you got other immigrants and Asian and all that get reparations, but when it come to us, it's a problem. Come on, Scotty, man. You the same guy said you got one in the chamber and didn't have nothing in there. So, man, be transparent about the situation, man. You're a cool cat. I met you before. You doing your thing at City Hall. But, man, sometimes you be on some stuff, man. So stop it, man. If people want reparation and all that, Hey, if it's for us, let us get it. And stuff. I wasn't in the back in the time on there when the things jump out. But hey, I look at it like this, Nate. All them people in Everson got it. Black family members. I'm like, oh, that's a kickstart right there. And then Iris put in the chat that back in last year, June, that somebody came down and informed them and put them on game about reparations. So man, if it's for us and all that, and people try to help us out and everything, let it be. Let's get a part of the piece of the pie. Don't hate on us for what? Come on, Scotty. Be real about it. You talking about repair? I know we need some repair around here. Why you think I say Mayor Aflac? We need some insurance. I know his name Aftab, but I say Aflac because we need insurance. I'm just keeping 100, fam. I'm just keeping 100, man. I'm a real guy.
Twin, you in favor of reparations? You in favor of
Hell
reparations?
Yeah. Hey, everybody else get it, Cat.
Bro, for all real, keeping it real. So you for reparations for black people, but you support
for all people, man.
But you seem to support individuals who are not for that.
No, I support everybody, but black folks deserve it for what they went through. The suffering.
No, I'm talking about elected officials who would actually vote for and give reparations to black people. You don't support them. You support the others. You support elected officials who will never give black folks reparations. How do you reconcile that?
No, I support. Don't try to. Come on, man. You talking about some emotional stuff.
I mean, that's not a legit question.
No, because I know you go. I know you because you go ring it all the way to the Trump rhetoric. I know you.
I said
trick or treat.
I ain't
mentioned trick or treat. No, trick no good.
Syndrome right there. I ain't even mentioned that, man.
Man, I know you, man. I know.
Between let's be honest though, Twin. That is a fair question. Like if you're somebody that's super hard for reparations and then you voted for President Trump and he is so far against reparations, he's against DEI and tearing down, and all kinds of, museum exhibits about slavery. It is a fair question.
They don't even tell the real history, man. Only thing when I was a shorty they gave us was Martin Luther King. Damn, man, who else? Who I thought was, to be honest, I thought he was the president when I was a shorty, and they killed them all. That's the only thing I heard about. But until I started digging deep into it, I'm like, oh, we got some great people that invented stuff or went through the slave mentality or whatever. But now I'm for all people. I don't care who, and man, I don't look at Donald Trump like that, man. Y'all do. Y'all glaze off Donald Trump all the time. I don't, man. That man go cook regardless. It's up to our local leaders and representatives who represent us in Ohio State or where I'm from, Illinois. I don't care about what the hell Trump doing. He's a puppet for them, for the Bilderberg group or whatever, the elite. That's a puppet. He got to answer to them. But y'all got to answer us. Y'all try to say democracy and all that, but y'all not real about democracy, man. It's for the people, by the people. But damn it, y'all think about something else. When it time to come to the drum boy and y'all need our help every 4 years, y'all throw us out the window. See y'all in the next 4 years. And it shouldn't be like that. And right now, that man opened up a lot of eyes and say, this how they go play y'all. And he opened my eyes like, yeah, that's how they getting y'all. They not being transparent about the situation, man. And I'm just a real guy. I'm really, Nate, I'm really not no politic, man. I joined this when Nate, I joined this when the vote for the first black president, which Obama, and I thought he was gonna do something for Illinois. That's all I was in. But when Trump got in there and I knew what he stood for and what he's about, I knew he was gonna go in there gangster and flip the strip on people. I knew what he was about. He was gonna uncover everybody and let it be known. What?
Did you ever answer Kevin's? I had to step away. My daughter called me. Did you answer?
You answer the phone and stuff. I've been answering that question, man.
Oh, okay.
I say I'm for all people. If you for us, man. If you for us all.
How do you square?
You trying to put it as a Trump rhetoric, man? Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's not about Trump. It's about you. It's about. I'm just curious because he asked the question, but I'm curious.
You asked me. You asked me was all about
pro reparations. Why would you support a candidate that is absolutely anti-reparation?
Okay. Why y'all keep on voting for the last 60 years and we still getting the same results?
That doesn't answer
Tell
the
me that.
question, sir.
No. I answer your question.
Oh, okay. Did he answer
So
your
why
question,
y'all
Kevin?
keep? Yes, I answered. I said I'm for it.
But that was never the question.
You said why would I vote for a person that against it?
Right.
Okay, and I'm telling you, why would y'all vote for some 60 years and stuff we getting the same results?
You didn't answer the question.
Hey, that was my interest, right?
The first thing I will answer that question, Twin. The first thing I would say is that you haven't been getting the same results for 60 years. Go back 60, 70 years, you was drinking out, you had black folks drinking out of white water or colored water fountains. Couldn't sit in certain places. So this is one of the things that some black people do. I'm not gonna say
maybe
all
we
black
should have
people,
stayed segregated then.
Some black people do is they want to diminish the progress that has been made to say that nothing's been made because we're not 100% where we want to be or even need to be. That's not the same as saying ain't nothing happened. So you need to quit saying that. You need to quit saying didn't nothing happen because a whole lot has happened. But the way that government works and the way that things are set up, unfortunately, is change is hard intentionally. That's the way the founders made the country, that you got to go through 3 branches of government, a Supreme Court, and the voters to make things happen. That don't always go your way.
If you're going through 3 phases of government, I know that. But that one last government thing that stick, the judicial system, what's wrong with that? You talking about 3 branches of government. What's wrong with the judicial system? It took
Nothing.
a damn act.
A lot of the rights that black people enjoy today came through the judicial system.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. You right. I agree with you on. I agree with you on that. Huh?
Hey, Twin, thanks for the call, man. We appreciate you, bro.
Quit laughing, man. That's trying to clown me. It's on though. Both of y'all. I'm calling my twin. I'm calling my twin on this one. Now y'all have a good weekend though, fam.
Bro. I see why people like him. He's a funny guy. He's a character. I see why people like him. Man. Hey, listen. Yeah, deflection, Deanna. He's good at deflection. But listen, thank you so much. We went a little longer. I know Phil's got to go. Everybody's busy. Thank you so much. Hey, Tony, thank you for being here. For all the people in the chat, really appreciate you.
By the way, just so you know, I want to make one quick announcement.
Sure.
The Ohio Kings are playing in the semifinal tomorrow at Withrow at 5:30. And I know this is a little questionable legally, but I got some inside information. I've got kind of a contact. I got a little inside information, and I intend to parlay it. So I should be a much wealthier man next week. Just leave it at that. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you can find us on DraftKings, whatever your favorite sports book is, MGM.
Yeah. Again, since you brought up Kevin, tell everybody what time the game is and where.
Yeah, it's 5:30 tomorrow at Withrow High School. Doors open at 5. Tickets are just $10. Kids under 12 get in for free if they're accompanied by an adult. So bring the kids out.
Are you saying I got to bring an adult with me?
Yes,
you need to bring 2. You got to be accompanied by 2 adults. 1 is not good enough for you. But come on out. This is our last game of the season in Cincinnati. First round of the playoffs. Because we finished second in our division, we only got 1 home game in the playoffs this year. And so we'll have to finish out on the road. Probably have to win about 7 in a row to bring home the championship. 6 of those on the road. So we're looking forward to the challenge, though. We got a great team.
Hey, Phil, talk to you about Sandy Check.
Oh, Sanity Check. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I just did. I'm going on Sanity Check. It's you can get it on YouTube or on Facebook. I'm kind of going back and forth between sometimes doing interviews and sometimes I do commentaries. They're only 90 seconds, so you can last through them, I think. But this week I'm recording them this afternoon. They'll be up in a little bit. But I felt I spoke from the heart on a couple things. If you guys have a chance to take a look at it and give me some feedback, I appreciate it. I want to say one last thing. I know I've mentioned this guy, James Tallarico, before, I think, on this show, who just won the primary. I would urge any of you on the crew or listening, pull him up on YouTube and listen to this guy, especially listen to his victory speech when he won the primary. This guy is different. Okay, he's talking from the Bible, but he's not the Christian nationalist. He's talking about what Jesus really talked about. And so I would really encourage anybody to just listen to some of his clips.
He's very talented speaker. Hey, Tony, before we go, man, let people know about, your latest book, what's going on, where can they find it?
Okay. Well, actually, I have two books out there. One's called White Stetsons, and the other one is called Probability. They're on Amazon, they're on Barnes & Noble. All you have to do is, I go by Anthony behind the pen. So just type up Anthony Huey. They'll come up. Actually, I have a new book that's coming out in about 2 months called Gods Among Us. So it's part two of a trilogy. So Probability, first one, I just forgot the title. The Gods Among Us is the second one. Yeah, just look it up. And also, can I mention the organization I'm involved with?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm also involved in an organization called Our Tribe Cincinnati, which is a community group of parents, African-American parents of children on the autism spectrum. I have a 11-year-old son who's on the spectrum, and me and my wife joined years ago, and I'm on the board, and we provide advice, counseling, references, all kind of because of a lot of parents when they get the diagnosis, they feel like they're alone. So it's a community group that helps out. So and it's on Facebook. You can look it up, and it's a great organization if you find out your child is on the spectrum.
All right. And with that, thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate you. Have a great rest of your Friday, great weekend, and we'll be back with you Tuesday and Friday of next week. Talk with you soon.
Hey, guys.